we cannot afford to think about AI, for instance, in silos. For a company like Pigment that obviously is AI first in a world that is accelerating with the pace of AI, with macroeconomic uncertainty, we need to collaborate together. And I think this is really what the summit was about yesterday. It was about how can we foster innovation together between the UK and France.
And what were some of the tangible takeaways there in terms of fostering this innovation? Historically, Europe has had the reputation of regulating when the US has been the one to innovate. Do you think that's changing now?
I do think it is changing, and I do think President Macron is absolutely pro-innovation, as the UK are, and so we were trying together to think about how can we foster this innovation. So what it means is, making sure that we think about sovereignty together, we think about the agency around how to create our own, sovereign programs. We think about also how to create a real competitive edge versus what's happening in the US, versus what's happening in China, making sure that we are as strong as we can. And that means really working together, bringing talents together, bringing investments together, and really trying to create a world where we foster that speed and that competitiveness.
Eléonore, I want to piece together what your company's up to and the tectonic places are shifting around us, I could say, tectonic plates. What we've got when it comes to the US, these huge SaaS companies, and this is a space where you're trying to disrupt with AI agents. So the likes of a Salesforce, Microsoft, they come up with these agents. What I've heard at a lot of tech conferences, really, as we talk about sovereign AI, is growing a whole crop of European companies to compete against US names. Are you feeling that there is fresh energy and fresh momentum for companies like yours to take on the titans that have really dominated technology for the past decade?
Absolutely. I think the time is now. So if I set up the scene, as I said, macroeconomic context is accelerating. We have as much uncertainty as we ever had in this world. There is obviously tariff, inflation, wars. We also have shortage of supply. At the same time, AI is accelerating the pace of everything we do. So that means that today, in today's world, business leaders, they cannot afford to take months to take decisions or weeks. They have to act very fast, whether it's reactive decisions to inflation, to tariffs, or whether it's proactive decisions around where to invest talents, products, etc. And so what they need right now, the reason why customers come to us is because they cannot work on legacy players anymore to do business planning, scenario planning, forecasting. They need AI to be their true business partner, because today, Pigment is just not a platform. It's really this AI component that is really helping you make decisions in real time and accelerate the pace at which your company is accelerating. Think about it as really a mind that can help you operate your company faster and smarter.
Eléonore, you've been very fast in terms of disrupting the SaaS space, enterprise SaaS. What we're seeing, though, is that there have been plenty of good ideas out of Europe over the last number of years, but getting them going, finding the right capital and scaling them quickly has been an issue. I've got to say, there seems to be a lot of hope out of France. We've had Mistral AI, we've had H, we were talking to them yesterday about these very large funding rounds. What are you seeing on the funding side about growing your business and getting to the scale that you need to be to challenge some of those US companies?
Yes, so we never struggled actually getting the funds we needed, and this is really critical, obviously, to foster our innovation. We are a company where innovation has been at the core of everything we do. We've shipped 200 features last year. We've shipped incredible technology with our agents this year, and so fundings today is amazing for us, but a lot of it comes from the US, and I do think that there is our capability in Europe to actually create more funding coming from Europe, coming from potentially more of our own pension funds, for instance, that we don't really have as much as we have in the US or in the UK. So I think there is still a lot to do to actually foster even more innovation, because it's not only about funding companies like Mistral and Pigment or Edge, but it's also about funding infrastructure and also attracting the right talents, because AI is a talent war. We saw it with what Facebook did with their AI lab. This is what is happening. We need to attract the most incredible talent from the entire world. And the only way to do that is to create a structure for investment in Europe. And I think there is still a lot to be done around that.
Eléonore, that would be great. But the truth of the matter is, in your own words, the US is my number one market. Most of my suppliers are American. And as we've just discussed, most of the best available funding on the planet is from the US and, dare I say it, from outside of Europe as well. What's to stop your amazing company becoming American when the time comes for it to not be private anymore, or for the owners to sell it?
Right. So first of all, we have zero intention to sell it. We actually want to stay independent for as long as possible. We have a big ambition. We want to create at least a $200 billion company that can impact any business in the world. So we want to remain independent. We want to actually stay private for as long as possible to keep this innovation pace. At some point, we might need to IPO somewhere. We might need to IPO in the US if we don't have like a strong capital market in Europe, but that doesn't mean that we need to move to the US. Our innovation is here, our R&D is here in Paris, and most of it actually is in Paris and the rest of it is in Europe. And this is what we want to keep doing because I want to prove that we can create a global champion from Europe. And it is possible, it is feasible, and it's the time to do it actually.